Tonight on Golf Central, we're only 1 week away from the second major of 2017. And the best players in the world, well, they're already teeing it up at Erin Hills. Find out what they're saying about the first-time venue.
Also ahead, Jason Duffner proved it's not how you start the weekend, but how you finish. We have his keys to victory at Jack's Place.
Plus, John Feinstein reacts to Phil Mickelson's decision to skip the U.S. Open in an essay you won't want to miss. It's all ahead right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
The next men's major gets underway a little over 1 week from now, but happening right now. 751 players are competing in sectional qualifiers on 10 golf courses across the U.S., looking to earn one of 53 spots that are still available for the U.S. Open at Erin Hills. World number 2, Rory McIlroy, sent out this video on Twitter of him gearing up for the U.S. Open during a 2-week stay in Portugal. McIlroy has not played since finishing tied for 35th in the Players' Championship due to an ongoing injury to his ribs. And with that, we say hello to this Monday edition of Golf Central. Lisa Cornwell, Tim Rosafort, Trip Eisenhower joins us in just a moment. We begin by focusing on the U.S. Open venue, Erin Hills, which opened in 2006. It's hosting its very first professional event. Rosie, you've talked to some players who've been there. Who are those guys who've actually gone around and played a practice round? Well,
first, Lisa, this is the busiest that Erin Hills has been since October, which makes sense because the owner, Andy Ziegler, shut the place down back October. It's a high-end daily fee golf course, wanting it to be pure, and that's what the players have had a chance to see as they've gone in there for practice rounds. Dustin Johnson over the weekend, after missing a cut at the Memorial Tournament, played with Billy Horschel, Brian Harmon, who won earlier this year at the Wells Fargo. They were joined today by Graham McDowell, Jim Furyk, Ricky Fowler, you see, Kevin Chappell joined them today, Adam Scott, and then senior Open champion Gene Sauer. So a busy tee sheet for the Open venue.
What's the word? Because not a lot of us know a lot about this golf course. I've heard people reference it. It reminds them a lot of Chambers Bay, which held the U.S. Open a couple of years back.
They all liked it. It's a big golf course. There's some fairways out there 40, 50 yards wide. The green complexes are fair as it relates to, on the longer holes, they're pretty flat. On the shorter holes, there's a lot of undulation to it. Dustin loved it, obviously, because it is a big golf course, but even guys who work their ball around like a Graham McDowell thought that it's the type of golf course that they can compete on. So Jack Nicklaus talked about this over the weekend at Memorial, or last week at Memorial. We're going to discuss a little bit later, but it's kind of gone away from the traditional look. This is not winged foot. This is not Shinnecock even, which is wide open. It is a little bit like Chambers Bay, but not quite. More Midwesterny than, obviously, than Chambers Bay was.
It's interesting because we seem to be alternating between traditional and these new modern courses. You mentioned Nicklaus. Look forward to hearing his thoughts coming up. Jason Duffner, well, he is a major winner, and his confidence has to be soaring after his fantastic finish Sunday in the Memorial Tournament. After a birdie on the 71st hole, Duffner capped his 3-shot win with a 33-foot par putt on the 72nd hole for his 5th career PGA Tour title. Here's Duffner on coming back from a third-round 77 in his own words.
I think I've always been a fighter, especially since I've turned professional. Doing this hasn't come easy for me. There's been a lot of struggles and a lot of setbacks, and I didn't come straight out of college and play the PGA Tour. It took me almost 10 years to get out here. It took me another 12, another 2 after that to win and actually get to where I felt comfortable. So I always take a lot of pride in kind of being a fighter, trying to come back. I played really good a couple weeks ago in Dallas. Have a great history at Colonial. Felt like Colonial could be a week to be in contention, missed the cut. I was upset, I was disappointed. You have all these thoughts, in the moment, but I went home for a couple days and regrouped and was determined this week to get in contention, and then all of a sudden 265s, and I'm cruising, and then not cruising yesterday, but to come back today, I think that's just a good attribute. I think a lot of golfers have that in them. It's a difficult game. You got to kind of pick your things to be excited about, because the majority of the time we're not winning tournaments. It's extremely difficult out here. I've played probably close to 500 professional tournaments, and this is probably my 7th or 8th win, and that's a pretty low percentage.
Jason, this win combined with your win last year, does that give you the belief to go on and win that second major championship?
That would be nice. That's the goal. I had a pretty good Masters for me this year. I made 19 birdies at the Masters, which is a lot of birdies. I finished at 5 over, if you can believe that.
Did you really?
Yeah. So that gave me a lot of confidence with that golf tournament. I don't know much about Aaron Hills. I think this is probably a good stepping stone for those types of things. Majors are very difficult to win. There's only 4 of them a year. Best in the world are playing there, but I feel like I have the type of game, with my game as well, that I can compete. I've had 3 or 4 pretty close calls on majors, and I don't feel like I'm done being able to compete in them.
We mentioned Jason Duffner's career PGA Tour titles just a moment ago, 5 of them in all. You can see 3 of them from 2012 to 2013. Then that gap between 2013 and 16, and then picking things back up early in 16 with that Career Builder Challenge victory. And then, of course, this big one standing next to Mr. Nicklaus as we welcome in golf's newest power player, from what I hear. He's been out there on the course, Trip Eisenhower. You know what that's like, being out there. But watching Jason Duffner, it really was intriguing watching him come back from the 77. What impressed you most throughout the week?
Well, just the resiliency. A couple of things. First of all, he set a scoring record for 36 holes. He was at 15 under and had a 5-shot lead. He went from there to 4 down after 77. And if you look at some of the worst performances by winners, this is up there. I mean, you can see this doesn't happen very often for somebody to shoot this much over par in one of the 4 rounds and come back and ultimately win. How was he able to do it? Well, a couple of things. The ball striking was exceptional all week. It was the putter pretty much that let him down on Saturday. He putted awful, nearly losing 5 shots to the field on the greens alone on Saturday. He turned that around, but you know what? When you look at his ball striking all week as far as gaining strokes with his approach shots, he is the best of any winner so far this season on the PGA Tour, better than a guy named, Dustin Johnson, world #1, and how many strokes he gained approaching the greens in Mexico. So hats off to Jason Duffner, getting that elite company of now 5 wins on the PGA Tour, and you know what? He's got a major to that resume. So quite a resume that Jason Duffner's done, and to throw it in there with, hey, by the way, I won shooting a 77. That's special in and of itself as well.
Rosie, he likes to just keep reminding us that he's around. Just when you think maybe Jason Duffner's going away, he gives us that winning reminder.
Chuck Cook was talking about that today, his longtime coach. He's saying everybody thought Duffner was gone, but he made it all the way to the Tour Championship last year. Trip, just a backstory on the putting. You know, he's 35th strokes gained going into last week. Big improvement for him. Their goal the entire year was not to decel once. A big part of that came from being paired with Snedeker down in Naples last year in Norman's tournament. Watching Snedeker roll a rock with that pop stroke the way he did. And he's certainly not Brent Snedeker on the greens, but obviously he's come a long, long way. And living down in that Jupiter area, he spends a lot of time down there, and whether it's tour players or the guys at the clubs who get a chance to play with him, he's their favorite guy. Wry sense of humor, really intelligent, and while he's socially shy, when you get him in the right environment, a lot of funny things come out of his mouth.
Rolling the what?
Even
hanging out with this one.
Sneaky funny guy.
That is like a $10 fine.
Yeah, wait, it is 15. We're up in it now.
That's
it's
awful.
time for the clutch performance.
Pardon me.
You're never in trouble, Rosie. Brought to you by Bridgestone. Can you believe Jason Duffner is the topic? He entered the 17th hole with just a 1-shot lead after a perfect drive in the fairway. Only had 119 to the pin. Boy, did he take advantage. Knocking that approach inside 3 feet. Would make birdie and double his lead to 2 shots. Tripp was talking about strokes gained. It's hard to beat these numbers when you're 1-1-1. You're going to do a lot of damage on the turf. The Golf Fix's Michael Breed shows you what you can learn from Jason Duffner's swing.
Thanks, Lisa. One of the reasons why Duff is such a good ball striker is the height of his elbows. So many players, when they start making swings, the elbows start lifting. That's when their arms and hands start to float a little bit on them, and they don't stop the motion of the arms and the hands when the shoulders stop. But when the elbows stay low, what happens is that when the shoulders stop moving, the arms stop moving, and that's going to create some real consistency with what happens with wrist angles and club face positions as it comes through the strike. So what I want you to feel is that your elbows are staying underneath your shoulders all the way through the motion, and feel like the arms are connected to the rib cage. So we go back, and what you can see is that when I'm making that backswing, when my shoulders stop moving, that's when the arms and hands stop moving. So we go here. Very, very smooth delivery, and you can see the golf club is moving the ball down the line. It seems to be going at the target. Now we're going to create a little bit of speed on this one. Keep those shoulders low and let the body do the work. Very good strike there. That one's right at the target. Did I end it in style? No, I hit it too far. I hate when that happens. Back to you.
All pumped up. Thanks, Breeder. Jason Duffner did not move inside the top 5 in the FedEx Cup standings, but he did move up from 56 to 13th. DJ still leading the way. Sizable advantage right now, just ahead of Justin Thomas. Time for an LPGA Tour update presented by Volunteers of America. Over the weekend, we reported that Ariya Jutanugarn would overtake Lydia Ko as #1 in the Rolex Women's World Rankings. But today we did learn that the projections were off by just a bit, and Ko does remain at #1 by just 0.01 points, though. Jutanugarn has a chance to surpass Ko again this week, and she's in the field in the Manulife LPGA Classic in Ontario, Canada. Ko and world #3 So Yeon Yu are taking the week off. Ricky Fowler moved up 3 spots to #9 in the official World Golf ranking following a second-place finish in the Memorial. After the break, Tripp tells you why that performance could give him the edge to earn his first major title next week at Erin Hills. Plus, Phil Mickelson only needs a U.S. Open victory to complete the career Grand Slam, but he's passing on the opportunity this year to attend his daughter's high school graduation. John Feinstein reacts later on Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at the Memorial Tournament. Comcast Business, built for business.